TikTok, time to rock.
Oh, TikTok. You got me.
Say no to crack, ladies and gentlemen. Stay away from crack and Islam.
Come on, I like it.
You like Islam? What?
No. No, just so everyone knows, this is not crack.
It's meth, crystal meth.
Yeah.
From tradition, he smokes it from a hookah pipe.
Okay.
Hey, check out Hexitas's new motto. This is what we have to say for our live streams. TikTok, time to stay away from Islam.
That's awesome. That's a nice combination.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's how you combine it. That's like Brangelina. All right, how's everyone doing this evening or morning or afternoon or whatever it is, wherever you are? How you doing? Huh? Go ahead.
We have to honor this one comment that we saw earlier. What was it?
Oh, yeah. I think that when I click on there, it only gives me the comments that are right there that are coming up after I click on it. Let me see if I can get back that far. What was that awesome comment?
I don't know. Was it like abuse
yeah, I want to find that. He said, abuse that like button like your right hands possess it or something like that.
That was awesome, whoever you are.
Yeah, that was good. Oh, yeah. Here we go. English Spot. English Spot says, abuse that like button as if your right hand possessed it.
That's a good one.
You heard that information. Now, before we get started into I guess we don't have an official topic. We'll be taking questions from the chat, but there is certainly something that we wanted to cover because one of the things that really, really disturbs me is the censorship that's going on. Because, look, as long as we are allowed to have discussions about our disagreements, and when we see problems, we're allowed to address those problems, call them out, state our views of those things. As long as we can have these kinds of discussions, then whatever the problem happens to be, there's hope of achieving peaceful solutions to it. As soon as people start saying, hey, if you disagree with us on this, then you have to be silenced and blocked and deplatformed and depersoned and dehumanized and so on, that's terrifying. Both because when they start doing that, they don't realize the dangerous ground they're pushing people towards. So that's one thing. But apart from that, once they start that method, then where does it stop, right? It becomes, hey, anything I disagree, as long as I'm in power, then whatever I disagree with you on, I can silence you because I'm in a position of power, and that's pretty terrifying. So
absolutely,
yeah. So AP, someone asked, what is your position if you have one? Where did it go? I just saw it a second ago, and now everyone's telling me where they're from. Kuwait. Wow.
Kuwait.
Awesome. Rosalinda, Kuwait. Sebastian says, like that smash button. Someone asked your position on, it's spelled Erdogan, but it's like Erdogan, right? Something like that?
Yeah, Erdogan.
Wait, hang on. Taylor Marie says, is AP totally baked right now?
Guys, this was not something weird. It's regular vape juice. It's just my nicotine supply because I switched from smoking to vaping. And I'm trying to quit that as well. So this is the path I'm on.
All right, so go ahead and pronounce his name for us, since you are Turkish officially.
Oh, Erdogan?
Erdogan. So that is correct. Okay.
Yeah, Erdogan. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is your position on him? Is he your hero?
Of course. Yeah, totally. He's bringing Islam back to the secular, to the free secular Republic of Turkey.
That's Turkey.
He's doing an amazing job. Bringing back the Sharia, bringing back child abuse, putting women into second-class citizen positions again. It's amazing. I don't know. I don't know how I don't have the words to praise him enough. That's all I want to say about this.
No,
No, just kidding.
I was about to ask you, are you being at all sarcastic?
No, he has been awful. He has been awful for Turkey. I mean, if you are familiar with the history of Turkey, Turkey emerged out of the heart of the Ottoman Empire, which was an Islamically led, at least in the end, partially Islamically led empire. That conquered lots of nations and basically converted them to Islam and ruled them with Islam. When that empire collapsed, Ataturk, a very secularist person, together with a group of other secularist people, came out and turned the remnants of the Ottoman Empire into what we now know as the Republic of Turkey, which was supposed to be a secular republic. He did lots of stuff. He removed all kinds of Islamism and Islam from the government, separated the government from religion. He said some harsh words about how people used to base their laws on a certain book that they believed came from the sky, but that now we are in an era in which we will base our laws on reason and human advancement and so on. And I don't know. He did a lot of good stuff. He also did it in a very suppressive way, as one might argue, in that he oppressed Islam very much. He punished all those Islamists that resisted to this change into secularism. But anyway, people see him as a hero. People see Ataturk as a hero. Now, about almost 100 years later, we have Erdogan, who has started to change this secular republic, this secular Turkey that people like so much because it is different from the rest of the Islamic world, because there is so much freedom, because it is so much closer to Europe and European culture. He started to turn that whole republic back on a track toward Islamism, toward Islamic theocracy, basically. We have a peak of people who were sent to jail, sent to prison for criticizing the government, for criticizing Erdogan, for criticizing Islamic values, for criticizing Islam. So many people are imprisoned for that. We have lots of efforts that have been made to remove Islam from the government, to move it into a secular direction, have been turned back. I don't know. It's just not going very well right now. But the good thing about all of this, the good thing about Erdogan and the whole revivalism of Islam that is happening in Turkey, is that a lot of people are being disappointed with Islam. A lot of people see what Islam is, how Islamist people like Erdogan, how Islamist parties like Erdogan's party impose Islam on society, and they basically show people what Islam is. And many people are fed up with Islam, and the number of people who identify as non-Muslims, the number of people who identify as atheists is very much growing right now. There are so many people after this whole Erdogan resurgence who come out and start saying, I am an atheist, I am a deist, I am this, I am that, I don't believe in Islam anymore. There is a huge growth of those people. So this whole Islamic revivalism is also bringing some good change, and I believe it's just some part of history. It's like in Iran, Islamic sentiments were suppressed for a very long time. As a result, the Islamic Revolution happened, and now people are sick of Islam. And just like that in Turkey, Islamic sentiments were suppressed for a while. Then Islamists started getting into the government and started reinstating Islam, and now people are being more and more fed up with Islam and speaking against Islam and working against Islamism. So it's all a nice cycle. I don't know.
Yeah. I read an article about young people in Iraq. They're like just sick to death of Islam. They've looked around at all the stuff that's happened as a result of Islam, and they're like, gosh, whatever this is, we don't want it. Yeah. So interesting stuff. All right, let's check out a couple comments real quick. Grumpy Pothole. I like that name. Although I misread it. I misread it when I first glanced at it. I thought it said Grumpy Butthole, and I was like, wow. what a name. But Grumpy Pothole's cool too. Said, I appreciate both your work. Sorry you got banned from Twitter, AP. So yes, everyone, we'll be talking about AP getting banned from Twitter here in a couple minutes, because That is a terrible issue. Now, here's something. I don't know if you've seen this yet, AP. Bumba Clark said, Trump says he is watching the censorship of social media platforms closely. What's your opinion? I don't know if you saw this, but recently I was talking about, I don't remember what I was talking about some sort of censorship or something like that. And someone sent me a link to a White House page.
Yeah.
And I clicked on it and it said something like, have you been banned from, social media platform or something like that? If so, tell us your experience. So it looks like they may be gathering some data.
Yeah. I have seen it too. I've actually filled out that form and sent them my information about my former Twitter ban. But I don't know. I'm skeptic about that whole thing about the White House wanting to gather information about people who are banned from social media, because the first thing I noticed after filling out that form was a flood of White House emails in my inbox. And
okay.
I thought this is not what I signed up for. But then I thought, wait. Is this why? Is this why they're doing this?
That would actually be brilliant. Have you been banned or deplatformed or had your feelings hurt in some way? If so, fill out your information here. And then you fill it out and you click it and go, and if you vote for Donald Trump, he promises to do something about this and crush your enemies. And
sounds like Muhammad.
That'd be good. Yeah. I haven't filled it out yet, but just so everyone knows, and we'll talk about this more. There's an important issue that people need to understand here, because when we hear that the government is, possibly going to get involved in what is happening on social media, the response, which I've also said this for years. Wait a minute, these are private platforms. They're companies. They're owned. They can set whatever rules they want, right? You can make a platform and say, hey, these are the rules of our platform. But it's been pointed out to me repeatedly, and I've seen politicians pointing this out, that because these are platforms, that puts certain kinds of restrictions on them, right? Because here's the issue, right? Suppose you post some horrible false information about someone on, let's say, YouTube, right? Can YouTube get sued for that? Well, YouTube's argument is no, because that's not us publishing it. We're a platform that allows other people to say what they want. So we're not responsible for their content, right? And that's Facebook's response. That's Twitter's response. You can't sue us for what other people say on our platform, because we're a neutral platform that allows other people to post their content, right? So that's the argument for why they cannot be sued based on the content that is on their platform. Well, if they're supposedly just a platform for other people to post their comments and information and videos and so on, if they're not a publisher of the content, then what happens if they start controlling the content and they become biased and they start restricting certain kinds of content and allowing others? Well, it seems like they are a publisher then, right? Just imagine I say, hey, I'm a neutral platform, so you can't sue me for the content, but then I block everyone that I disagree with. And so the only content that is allowed on my platform is content that I affirm. Well, guess what? The content is on there. It's on there because I've selected that. I've selected through that content. So I'm not a neutral platform anymore. So basically what you have is Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, they want to have it both ways. When it's talk of them getting sued for the content that is on their platform, no, we're a neutral platform. When it comes to them banning and censoring people, they say, hey, we're a private company. We can do what we want. We can enforce whatever rules we want. And the enforcement of those rules tends to go in one direction, right? And so that's the situation. That's why it looks like you might need some kind of regulation even on them. What you have some thoughts on that, AP?
Yeah. I've just been told that Erdogan is watching the live stream as well. But
oh, hey, that dude will mess you up, man. Have you seen that? That dude will send some guys to snatch you up and just beat you down anywhere.
Of course. They'll kick me in the streets. Doesn't even care. Well, I did this. I mean, I don't know. I'm very conflicted about the whole private company issue. I mean, it's true. Twitter and Facebook, YouTube, all these companies are private entities. They can do whatever they want. They can accept and reject whomever they want. But I have an issue with that on some levels, and I'm, to be honest, very conflicted about that myself because uh, one thing that I brought up in my video in which I called cowards in control. Um, there I mentioned too that people say very often that when someone is deplatformed for having the wrong opinion, they say, well, these are private companies. They can accept and reject whomever they want, Don't complain about being deplatformed. But would people be really saying the same thing if Facebook and Twitter banned Muslims for saying for trying to spread Islam? Would people really be saying the same thing if they banned Jews, or if they banned gay people for saying, "Oh, being gay is awesome," or if they banned anyone, if they banned any of these protected groups just for making statements pro their own stance or pro their own arguments? People wouldn't say these are private entities. We would have protests. People would be protesting in the pathetic streets of California, and politicians would be talking about it. The media would be talking about it. We would be talking about an imminent political intervention to prevent companies from discriminating against people based on their opinions and based on the group they belong to. But when we post opinions that don't conform with their point of view, with their thoughts, and I don't even want to call them thoughts because they all think alike. It looks like they don't really have thoughts.
You can say you can say their thought.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Their thought. Very clever. Then it's no big issue at all. Then it's just these are private entities. They can do whatever they want. But on the other side, do we really want intervention into these companies? And I have one point there where I think maybe some intervention into these companies is not really horrible. Maybe it's not contrary to free market capitalist ideas and whatever, because we are going into a very, very different era right now. We are in the era of social media, of Facebook and Twitter and all these other slimy companies, and these slimy companies are taking over society as it is. They're changing society as it is. We are in a new form of society. Trump has a Twitter account where he shares his ideas day and night. The president of the United States, presidents, prime ministers of so many countries share their ideas, their political positions on these platforms. Your local police station has a Twitter account and tweets there, and tells you that you can give them information, that you can tell them stuff on Twitter. But this has become a main platform of social communication where all kinds of things, politics, official business, everything, private connections can be done. But then these platforms also have the right and the conformity of just kicking out some people who they think don't belong on these platforms just because of their ideas. And suddenly you can't contact the president on these platforms. You can't contact your local police and your local official buildings, whatever. So yeah, these are becoming the new way of society, and maybe some regulations wouldn't be a big problem. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Couple more comments here. Just because everyone's bringing this up, because I haven't, I don't think I've commented on it publicly, although it is circulating on Facebook. Callum says, Sam Shamoon said that your son Paley was seriously ill a few days ago. Has he recovered, David? No, not yet. Just so everyone knows, my son, we have 5 sons. 2 of them have a genetic muscle disease called myotubular myopathy, meaning their voluntary muscles don't work. So they're muscles that they control. Your muscle like the heart and so on, that works fine. It's not voluntary. But basically their muscles are like 5% as strong as normal human muscles. So they're very weak. They have to breathe via machines and so on. And so they have trachs. They have trachs to so the air gets pumped into their lungs through a tube here. And if anything goes wrong, if something pops off, there's an alarm that goes off. Well, my son Paley had, I guess, twisted in a certain way or something like this. His trach came out. Normally, we would hear an alarm go off, but the nurse from the night before had turned the alarm all the way down because she didn't like to listen to it beeping. And so and so the idea would be that's fine as long as you're right there and you're going to hear it on a low setting. But when you leave, you need to make sure you turn that thing back up. She didn't, so we didn't hear the alarm going off. So Paley was without oxygen for several minutes. And so my wife did CPR. That's the second time that he has died, meaning no heartbeat, no oxygen in his blood, because there's a monitor on him that's saying 0-0. That's the second time that's happened, and both times my wife did CPR, and she got his heart started again. And that's pretty amazing, because I've had paramedics. After the first time that happened, I got messages from paramedics saying, I've been a paramedic my entire life. I've done CPR 15 to 20,000 times. It doesn't work. I said, I've done it 15 to 20,000 times. It's worked like 20 to 30 times. It almost never works. So it's amazing that your wife actually got his heart started again with using CPR. So anyway, that was a couple of years ago that happened. Same situation. A nurse had turned the volume down, and we didn't hear the alarm going off. And so now it happened again. So Paley he's got a heart rate, but he's mostly unresponsive, meaning he's not responding. Right? He's not looking around very well. She said he's opened his eyes and looked around a couple times. That he's squeezed on someone's finger. But yeah, you basically have to wait and see how much he snaps back. So that's the situation. Paley's at the hospital now. I'm not allowed anywhere near there. I'm recovering from strep throat. So I'm here with the other kids. Luke and Blaze are downstairs watching their brothers, and I'm here live streaming. So that's the whole situation. So those of you who pray, you Apostate Prophet, you can call upon chance to favor me in this situation.
Hope the situation gets better as soon as possible.
Yeah. And guys, in case you don't realize what a rough situation this, they can actually cure this disease now. The disease that my sons, when they were born, they told us that they have a 50% chance of seeing their first birthday and a 30% chance of seeing their second birthday. Paley's about to turn 10 now, and his brother Reed's older. So these kids have beaten all the odds, but we've known for years that the doctors who've been working on it's such a rare disease. There are only a few hundred known cases in the world because people just die of it, right? If you get it, you die. So the kids who survive are pretty rare. There's only a few hundred of them. And so when you have a situation like that and you only have a few hundred cases, there's not a lot of doctors working on it, right? There's not a lot of people actually working on a treatment, as opposed to something like cancer or AIDS or something like that, where there are tons of cases all around the planet. You end up with a lot of specialists working on it. But when you have very rare diseases, not a lot of emphasis to say, hey, I want to come up with this cure that, will help like 200 or 300 kids. But fortunately, there are doctors who did decide to work on this, and at first they cured it in mice, then they cured it in dogs, then they fought for human trials. They just started the human trials. The kids there's only a couple kids who got the treatment as a trial, but those kids are indistinguishable from healthy kids. So it can take a long time, because once they do that, they want to do more trials before they actually make it openly available as a treatment. So that's the sucky situation. It's that it's not just that Paley's in the hospital and might not recover. It's that his problems would have been over within the next couple of years. You know what I mean? So yeah, rough situation. So anyway, no more talk about that unless we do a special show on that. Maybe get my wife on here. That'd be interesting. All right, one more.
I'll pray to my blue ball here, which is not blue, although it says it's blue.
No, I thought you chance guys had like a magic 8 ball. All right, here's one for both of us, and then we'll get to what we want to discuss, namely AP once again being banned from Twitter. But Jacob here, I can't tell if he's joking or serious. Jacob Lambert says, what do you think about the Quran verse that says if you save one man, it's as if you save all mankind?
So,
what are your thoughts about that incredibly peaceful, wonderful Quran verse? In case anyone wants to look it up, it's Surah 5, verse 32.
32. Yeah.
532. Yeah.
I love 533. That's why I immediately know where this one is.
Oopsie. Dang, don't bring up 533. You're going to ruin it for everybody.
It's nice. Do you want to go through it together? Let's just read 532 and 33. Let's not make it boring. Let's not just read 32.
Yeah, because context is important, right? That's what I hear from Muslims. They always say, hey, context. All right.
Context is very important. So let me read Quran verses 532 and 533. Our friend here is asking about the Quran verse, which says, if you save one person, you save all mankind. So let's read. I'm reading from Sahih International, although I really don't like the translation. Whatever. Because of that, we decreed upon the children of Israel that whoever kills a soul, unless for a soul or for corruption done in the land, it is as if he had slain mankind entirely. And whoever saves one, it is as if he saved mankind entirely. And our messengers had certainly come to them with clear proofs. Then indeed many of them after that throughout the land were transgressors.
Mm-hmm. Now, could you read that beginning part again?
Because of that, we decreed upon the children of Israel that whoever kills.
So this was the teaching for the children of Israel.
Yeah.
And just so everyone knows, we know exactly where that comes from. That's in Mishnah Sanhedrin, chapter 4. Here again, Muhammad couldn't tell the difference between what's in the Torah and what's in the Talmud. And so he heard Jews saying this, hey, if anyone's killed a man, it's as if he's killed all mankind. And by the way, the basis for that was a commentary. It was a commentary on the story of Cain and Abel. So Cain killed Abel. And in your Bibles, it says that God says to Cain, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. But a rabbi commenting on this in Mishnah Sanhedrin said that the Hebrew word there is not blood, singular, it's bloods. It's bloods, it's plural. He says, your brother's bloods are crying out to me from the ground. And he said, why is it plural? And he said, the implication is that this is all future generations crying out to me from the ground. All the future generations that would have been born are crying out to God because all those future generations were wiped out by killing that one man. And so it's a rabbi saying that, notice, this isn't even supposedly a revelation from God. When he comments, he says, so the point is, if anyone kills a man, it's as if he's killed all mankind, right? You're killing all future generations. And so that's a rabbi's commentary. That's not even supposedly the word of God. It's a rabbi's comments on a verse. That's the meaning that he's getting out of the text. Muhammad hears Jews saying this, and suddenly this is Allah revealing this, and this is what Allah has commanded them. When it's a rabbi who concluded this. So Muhammad just couldn't tell the difference between something that's in the Torah, something that's in the Talmud, something that is supposedly the word of God or a prophet, and something that is a comment by a rabbi. Just couldn't tell the difference. But we know exactly where this comes from, and this is supposedly a teaching of the children of Israel because Muhammad heard the Jews saying it. So to say this is the teaching of Islam, no. Go ahead.
That's how Muhammad did everything. He included many things in the Quran. When those were just stories that people told each other, he took those stories. One example is the example of the seven sleepers. We could maybe elaborate on that if you want to. But where Muhammad basically took stories that people told each other and presented those stories as if they were truth, as if they were words of God, and presented them in the Quran. And we clearly see there that Muhammad's knowledge of biblical religion was just full of hearsay, was just full of all the stuff that he heard from Christians and Jews.
Mm-hmm. So that's 532. Is there something else you wanted to?
I would like to add 533, which comes just after that.
Okay, so we notice what you have here: 532 and 533, ladies and gentlemen. Allah says, "Here's the teaching for the children of Israel." Next verse, here's the teaching for Muslims. Go ahead.
Here's a teaching for the peaceful, wonderful, beautiful Muslims. Listen, indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive upon earth to cause corruption is none but that they be killed or crucified, or that their hands and feet be cut off from opposite sides, or that they be exiled from the land. That is for them a disgrace in this world, and for them in the hereafter is a great punishment.
So
doesn't this sound wonderful?
So it starts talking about dismembering, killing, and crucifying people, and that's the command that's directed towards Muslims. Now, guys, this, by the way, this is just amazing, right? You have Surah 5, verse 33 of the Quran talks about dismembering people, crucifying people, killing people for the vague crime of making mischief in the land, right?
Yeah.
If you go to places like Iran, they will charge you with that. They will charge you with that and sentence you to death. You're making mischief in the land. Why? Because you're preaching the gospel or something like that. You're making mischief, or you're criticizing Islam. They charge you with mischief, right? So Sunnis can do that. Shias can do that. And that's the basis for it. Surah 5, verse 33. So it's a justification for killing all kinds of people. And
it's quite merciful, though. You have to give the Quran that. You have to give Islam that. I mean, it tells you to cut off hands and feet from opposite sides. So you can cut off one arm. You have to keep the other arm. So the person still has one arm.
Yeah, they can sort of hobble around. Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah. But notice what Muslims do, right? You got 533 calling for dismemberment, crucifixion, and execution for a vague crime that you could say anyone's making mischief in the land. Oh, you showed your ankles in public. You're causing mischief in the land. We have to kill you, right? Yeah. So you can justify all kinds of killing. They don't quote the Muslim groups and Muslim spokesmen. They don't quote that verse. They go to the verse before it. Then they leave off the beginning of the verse about this being a command for the children of Israel. Then they just quote the part about, hey, if you've killed a man, it's as if you've killed all mankind. They say this is what Islam teaches. Isn't that wonderful? And people say, "Wow!" I've seen President Obama quote that. I've seen all kinds of leaders and journalists and so on quote that to say, "Hey, all these terrorists, they're getting it wrong because they're crucifying and killing people." That's not what the Quran commands. The Quran says, "If you killed a man, it's as if you've killed all mankind." And they don't even have the common sense to read the next verse. Shocking.
Yeah. Can I read this Quran verse again? It's so sweet. I want to. Indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive upon the earth to cause mischief is none but that they be killed or crucified, or that their hands and feet be cut off from opposite sides, or that they be exiled from the land. Okay, I'm done.
Yep.
I'm done. Let's move on.
Yeah. Peaceful. Very, very peaceful and tolerant.
Yeah. Yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
All right. So, quote from Paul, and then we're going to get to AP here. Paul says, "Love you, David. I'm going to buy a shirt when I get paid. I'm from Houston, Texas."
Whoa.
Hey, I wanted to post it because, Paul, I will be down in Houston, Texas, speaking at a church. I believe the first weekend in September. So you want to follow my chat. But if you're in that area and you want to come, I'll be down there first weekend of September, I believe, on a Saturday and a Sunday. And so I hope to see you then. And yeah, cool, get a shirt. In case anyone doesn't know, I have some merch now. I followed AP's example and got some merch. I'm coming up with some dope t-shirt designs, so you can check those out. All right, AP, we wanted to, we could obviously just do comments the entire time because people are pointing out some good things. But we certainly wanted to get to your second banning. So briefly tell us about your first banning. That one I was very familiar with because I followed it the entire time. This time I was actually traveling while you got it, while you were banned and so on, so I didn't get to follow it as much. But tell us about your first banning from Twitter.
My first banning from Twitter was several months ago. I had my brand account, Apostate Prophet, on Twitter, and I made a comment. I made a tweet which I found kind of funny, which was in response to someone who said, when I was a child, my mother didn't even allow us to kill a spider, and people go around saying Islam is violent. So I said, Islam orders the killing of apostates, gays, critics of Islam, blasphemers, this and that. Islam orders to spread the religion by the sword and explicitly insults other religious groups in the Quran. But Islam doesn't allow the killing of spiders. Therefore, Islam is peace. And for this tweet, Twitter thought, okay, this is enough. This is obviously hateful language. This is racist, whatever it is. So they permanently banned me from Twitter. When I appealed to this decision, Twitter thought, no, absolutely not. You will stay banned forever. So I thought, well, fine, okay. If I can't use that account, my brand account, then I'll just switch to my personal account, which was under my name, Ridvan Aydemir. Ridvan Aydemir is my name, by the way. If you can't tell, I'm a person of color. I'm a very oppressed person of color, and I don't know why Twitter is so racist in banning a person of color like
bunch
me.
Of freaking racists, right? Probably some white person over at Twitter banning this man because he's Turkish.
Because I'm yellow.
He's a person of color.
Yeah.
Gosh, bunch of racists.
You can see the yellow in my face. I'm a person of color. This is absolutely unacceptable racism. Anyway, I switched to my personal account I switched to my personal account, Ridvan, Apostate Ridvan. So I started using that for several months. Started making tweets, and I tweeted quite reasonable things. I used to tweet my criticism of the Quran, my analysis of Muslim society, of Islam as a religion, and so on. But suddenly, a few days ago, I woke up and it said, "Your account is permanently suspended." And it didn't give me any explanation about this at all. It didn't say why I was banned. It didn't say what tweet that was in connection to. Nothing. I was just suspended. I could appeal, and the appeal was immediately rejected as well. So there was absolutely no chance left. I was completely gone. And what I think is that they basically banned this account because they banned the other account too, and because I'm the same person, or because they looked at my tweets and they thought, this doesn't go. That's totally hateful, bigoted. So they banned me too. That's what happened. I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. I made a video. I called them cowards and hypocrites. I called them money-hungry giant corporations that hug minorities and treat them like babies and suck their blood and take their money and use them as workers.
So you tried to win them over through diplomacy, is what I'm hearing. Okay,
yeah, that didn't work, and
so they wouldn't listen to reason.
They wouldn't listen to reason. So I tried diplomacy, and then I tried war. And yeah, that's where we are right now.
So that is the situation that we are in. So you're saying you think it's because they realized you're the same person, so it's not a specific situation where they say, hey, we're banning you because of this.
No, but the thing is, the issue is their guidelines state that once you are banned, if you create another account to evade that ban, then they will ban that account as well. Mm-hmm. But that's not what happened.
That's not what you did. Yeah, that's why I was asking. I was going to point that out.
Yeah. I switched to an account that already existed before the ban, and even before I created this account. That account was much older than this brand account, and I just started using that and growing that, and they just banned this account. And nowhere in the community guidelines is something like this stated. Mm-hmm. Needless to say, the whole ban in the beginning, the first ban, was completely ridiculous. It was over something where I merely pointed out my not even my opinion. There's not even my opinion in that tweet. I just pointed out that Islam has these and these and these orders, and I'm obviously protesting Islam's injustices and inhumanities, and I'm banned. I'm banned for standing up for the rights of people. It is insane.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. That person. Probably had good intentions, as probably a person who really believes, hey, Islam is peaceful because that's what my mommy taught me and stuff like that. Yeah. And so it makes a claim, and you actually just tell people what Islam actually teaches, and then you get banned for it. So the situation is, and notice this is like a Muslim apologist's dream. They can say absolutely anything, no matter how ridiculous and false it is. And if anyone responds to it or corrects it, they get banned. I'm saying this because there's a parallel situation that we have in Pakistan. And Pakistan's really big right now to post videos of a cat refusing to walk on the Quran, right? These videos get millions and millions of views. If you can get your cat to not walk on a Quran, right? You put some cat repellent or something on there, something the cat doesn't like so that it won't walk on your Quran, and you get a video of your cat walking around the Quran but not stepping on it, you'll get millions of views and thousands of dollars, right? So people are putting out these videos, and Muslims, oh, praise Allah, it's so wonderful, this is amazing, this is the proof of Islam. So I immediately spotted this as a load of nonsense. I went and put some Qurans on the floor and stuck a can of sardines on there. A cat walked all over. It wasn't my cat. It was my friend's cat. Put a can of sardines. The cat walked all over the Quran. Cat started clawing the Quran, kneading on the Quran, so on. And then there were like all kinds of things I could do to get a cat to walk on the Quran. I could drag a string across it. The cat will walk across the Quran. I could point a laser pointer at it. The dumb cat didn't know any better. It starts attacking the laser point. So there are all these false, idiotic, ridiculous videos circulating around the world, but also in Pakistan. I posted a video saying, hey, this is complete nonsense. A cat will walk on the Quran. And the nation of Pakistan blocks that video. I get a message from YouTube saying this violates the laws of Pakistan. We've received a legal complaint from Pakistan saying this has been blocked. So think about the situation they want in Pakistan. They want a situation where People can make completely false claims in support of the Quran. They can just flat out lie, right? They can flat out lie in defense of the Quran. And if someone tells the truth and corrects it, well, we block that. What do they want? They want people only to hear the lies that support Islam, not the truth, right? And you have this situation that's disturbing enough if it's a specific nation like Pakistan. It's even more disturbing if it's a supposedly neutral platform like Twitter that says, "Oh, you're posting that Islam is peaceful and tolerant. Well, that's good. Oh, you're refuting that claim by actually saying what Islam really teaches. You have to be blocked and silenced." That's scary stuff.
Absolutely.
Santosh here. I wanted to put this up. Santosh says, "AP, how do I become a Patreon member? Please let me know."
Oh, of me? Why would you want to? No, just kidding. Thank you for your interest. You can find me on Patreon. Just search for Apostate Prophet.
No need to search, because when I saw that comment, I went and clicked. I added it. So anyone who wants to support AP, you can just refresh your page, and now the link to his Patreon is in the description box.
That is amazing, David. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Everyone, you can find it right there, and just become a member.
Yep.
I will love you for doing that. I will appreciate that. I will give you my eternal love.
And it does help, ladies and gentlemen, because we're building an empire here. We are trying to build an empire of people who are online refuting Islam, because we don't want to see an epic bloodbath. We don't want to see nations destroying and annihilating each other by killing each other. We would love to refute this as an ideology, but the more people working on it, the better, and the more time they can spend on that, the better. So when you see people like AP here, I'm glad that some of you are saying, "Hey, how can we jump on your Patreon?" Again, the link there is in there in the description box.
Absolutely. I totally like AP. I totally like Apostate Prophet. Mm-hmm. I would definitely want to support Apostate Prophet on Patreon. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks to all my patrons. It's really amazing how much people support you if they like what you're doing, if they think that you're doing the right thing. I mean, I started this I don't know. I went out there. I started to spread some information, to share my own knowledge, my own experience with Islam, my own studies, because I studied it for years, and I thought, why should this be gone? And why, when I feel so strongly about it, about how Islam presents itself in the West, and all the stuff that is happening with Islam, all the stuff that Islam does to people, I thought I should go out there and should talk about Islam. But I didn't expect to grow this rapidly on YouTube, and so many people came out to support me. So many people came out and gave me the ability to really just focus on this. So many people told me that they want me to focus on this, so they support me, and that's really amazing. I didn't expect this to get like this so quickly, and it's a great feeling that people appreciate the work you are doing. Thank you all so much.
No, and it was the same with me. I basically finished up graduate school, and so it was, you have to make a living. I had a bunch of kids, a wife, and so on. So I either have to go out and work and do a lot of and focus on that, and have this as kind of side project, in which case I would have had to reduce the amount of time I was spending making videos and so on, or I would have to do this full time, and which would allow me to focus a lot more on making the content and so on. And so I basically put it out there to people, and people fully funded me to do this. So that's been awesome. And really, when I talk about empire building, I'm totally serious about that. That's the idea. It's when we see someone like the Apostate Prophet come along, who's doing a fantastic job wrecking Islam, just crowdfund him so he can spend more time doing that. And then eventually AP is fully funded to do that. He can spend all day doing that. But guess what? Then we'll see someone else come along. And we say, wow, I bet this guy would be really, really good at this. Well, great. Tell him to put out some content. If it turns out he's going to be really, really good at it, we all crowdfund him. And then we got another one, and so on. Eventually we got 20, 30 guys in a network, all wreaking havoc on Muhammad and his teachings, and that will go a long way. Just trust me on that one. Niles here said, David, when are you getting back with Anthony, Sam, and Vocab? Well, I can give you pretty precise details. Anthony is coming out here with me next week. We're recording a 10-part series called The Trinity in the Old Testament. So Anthony is going to make a collection of videos on the Trinity in the Old Testament. As for live stream, if you mean live streams, sometime after that, because we'll basically get back in the groove. Traveling always throws me off. If I get in a rhythm where I'm home a lot and stuff, I get into a rhythm, and then if I start traveling a bunch during the certain months and so on, then it kind of throws me off schedule. So that's anyway. Anthony, yes, you'll be seeing Anthony very soon, and I'll certainly be getting back to live streaming with Anthony pretty soon. Sam, I'm doing a set of shows with Sam and Al-Fadi. The middle of June, we'll be in a studio for some. We'll be recording a bunch of videos for Al-Fadi's channel. We'll also do some live streams while we're there. After that, Sam's going to be out here with me for a couple of weeks, and we'll be probably going live the entire time. So I'll be going live with Sam Shamoon pretty much every night, starting probably 2/3 of the way through June. Vocab, I'll be back with Vocab recording our first installments of Muhammad's Boom Boom Room here in June. Actually, AP, if you're free, when I'm meeting with Vocab and you want to come down and record your Muhammad Meets the Apostate Prophet.
Oh, yeah.
I will fly you in. We can record that. And so basically it will be Muhammad meets Socrates. That will be the first one. Then like Muhammad meets the Apostle Paul. Then Muhammad meets Satan. Then Muhammad meets the Apostate Prophet. And then that'll be that first month's set of videos.
That would be awesome.
But you'll have to write your script.
I will.
All right. Here's Bento. I can give my answer, but you can give yours as well. Bento says, David Wood and Apostate Prophet, would either one of you consider doing a live chat with Brother Colin from the Islam Critiqued YouTube channel? I can say absolutely. I've noticed that he hasn't posted much recently. I think he was moving and doing a couple things. But yeah, once he gets started again, I'd love to have him. For those of you who watch my channel, I probably posted 5 or 6 of his videos on my channel. But he has great content and does a lot of studying. So yeah, that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, where you got someone like this who comes on YouTube, clearly makes awesome videos. And so how do we help that? Kind of losing my voice because of the strep throat. So AP, you're going to have to talk here. Oh man.
Yeah, I haven't done live chats with people in a long time. I kind of took a break with that. I don't know when I'll get back to that, but if I do, sure, it could be possible.
Yep. All right, now back on the back on the censorship issue.
Censorship. I just wanted to say about the whole crowdfunding thing. About the whole crowdfunding thing, I'm so thankful for all the people who have given their support, but I'm kind of disappointed with the Jews. It's
they're the ones who fund you, right?
Before I got into this, I was told that if I declare that I'm an ex-Muslim, that I left Islam and that I want to criticize Islam, that I want to share my experiences with people, that I will be funded by Jews. That's what I was told. That's why I went out there and started calling myself an ex-Muslim and started criticizing Islam. And nothing happened so far. I haven't received any contact from the Jews at all. I haven't received any money from the Jews. Nothing from the Jews. I don't know. It's disappointing. I'm thinking of stopping all this.
Isn't it amazing how you see Jews behind everything, right? I mean, even the mosque massacre in New Zealand, and when I posted the video making fun of the Muslim spokesman who said that the Jews were behind it, yeah. I got all these comments. Well, how do you know the Jews weren't behind it? Of course the Jews are behind it. You don't know what these guys will do. You don't know what they're capable of. And I'm thinking, you have absolutely no evidence, and you're just saying it. It's like, no, I can't prove that they didn't do it. I can't prove that Klingons didn't do it, right? I can't prove that Klingons weren't behind it. But the idea that if you're so obsessed that no matter what happens, you see a certain group behind it, that proves you have a kind of obsession with a certain group. I'm just pointing this out because you get this all the time. I get it all the time. David, how much are Jews paying you to say all this? Well, I'm sure someone who's given me, supported me on Super Chat or something at some point is a Jew, but I'm not aware of any specifics on being funded by Jews. Nabil got this all the time, that he left Islam and became a Christian because he was paid by Jews. Jews paid him to do it. Jews approached him in medical school and said, "Hey, hey, we're going to give you all this money if you just leave Islam, ruin your life with your family, and spend the rest of your life getting death threats."
I don't get it. I even made a pro-Israel video, and I thought that would give me that would get attention from the Jews, and the Jews would send me money. But so far, the Jews didn't do anything. It's crazy. But seriously, the whole conspiracy theories about Jews, how Muslim people, how specific people see Jews behind everything. It's crazy. I tell my wife about it sometimes. My wife recently asked me about this Islamic anti-Jewish stance, and you really can't understand it well enough if you are outside the Muslim world, if you didn't grow up as a Muslim, or if you were never inside the Muslim world, if you weren't one-on-one one of them and they talk to you. It is insane the extent of conspiracy theories about Jews. If you are in the regular Muslim community, if you are in the Islamic world, you grew up believing that Jews are some kinds of superhumans, that they have super abilities, that they are, I don't know, they are bigger than X-Men, they are bigger than the Transformers and all those superhero characters, whatever you want to call them. Jews can do everything. There are only 15 million people of them in the world, but they are behind every single thing. It's like, it is crazy. They send sharks with weapons. They say birds over the border.
Lizards, snakes.
Yeah, lizards and snakes with cameras on their backs. They control all the governments of the Islamic world, and they just want to keep Islam as low and weak as possible, because they have nothing better to do than to keep Islam as weak as possible, so that Islam doesn't rise and take revenge and stuff. It's like, I don't know. Jews are the Islamic. I mean, in the Islamic world, Muslims pretend that they are monotheists, that they believe in one God, which is Allah, but they actually believe in two gods. One of them is the Jew, and that is the bad God. That's the anti.
And the Apostle Paul, because I pointed out before, if Allah says that no one can change His words, no one that He's going to protect Jesus' followers until the day of resurrection, and then Muslims say, well, the Apostle Paul went in there, changed it anyway, and then corrupted all of Christianity, and corrupted all the people that Allah was protecting, and corrupted the text that Allah was protecting. Well, then Paul is more powerful than Allah, so they've got a lot of gods.
Yeah, lots of gods. Lots of gods. And Muhammad, of course. Muhammad is a mini god, half god.
One quick comment here. David Wood, have you seen One Punch Man Season 2? If so, how was it? Well, Season 2 isn't finished yet, but so far it's about on the same, I'd say it's on the same level as Season 1. So, in other words, really, really, really good. It's one of the things I watch with my sons. So, yep, One Punch Man Season 2. Good.
Someone said, wait, AP is married. I thought he was gay. Yeah, I know. I misspoke. I wanted to say, no. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Okay, no, I'm not gay. Go on, David.
No, go ahead. tell us more.
Yeah, I'm not gay. I have a wife. I have children. So yeah.
All right, that's so you're good. All right, on this issue of let's get back to the censorship here, because I'm going to be, I believe tomorrow night at 8:00 p.m. I'll be interviewing Armin Navabi, whom you've talked to. I haven't seen it yet, but I know that you talked to him recently. But Armin Navabi is a former Muslim. He's an atheist, and I'll be talking to him tomorrow. But same situation with him, because he was told he couldn't speak about Islam at an event after the mosque massacre in New Zealand. And the reasoning was, hey, and this was in Canada. Now think about this. There was an attack against 2 mosques in New Zealand, and then he's told in Canada that he can't talk about Islam after that. And that disturbs me in kind of the same way as the situation with AP here. Namely that you've got an ideology, and it calls for the deaths of these guys, right? AP here is under a death sentence as far as Islam is concerned. Armin Navabi is under a death sentence for leaving Islam. Muhammad said, if anyone leaves his Islamic religion, kill him. These guys are under death sentences. So you have an ideology that calls for their deaths. Muslims are out there bragging that this is the fastest growing religion in the world, right? So it's expanding rapidly. As it expands, it doesn't grow more tolerant and compliant. As it expands, it grows more aggressive. And so it's only a matter of time before, I mean, these guys' lives are already in danger, but as Islam spreads, as it grows, their lives will be increasingly in danger, right? They will be in more and more danger. And so it's common sense that they should be allowed to criticize this ideology that is growing and is calling for their deaths. But instead of saying, wow, we need to make sure these guys have every opportunity to defend themselves with their speech against an ideology that calls for their deaths, it's, how dare you guys speak out against this ideology that calls for your death? That is horrifying to me.
People are fools. And this whole new rising progressive point of view of embracing Islam as a protected group, as a protected minority, while completely ignoring the criticism of other religious groups, it is really insane. These people don't even know what they're doing. I mean, if you look at them, most of them don't. They really have no idea what they are doing. They think they are protecting this poor minority that people are just prejudiced about, that people this religion that people are just prejudiced about because they hate others, because they hate foreigners, because they are racist, whatever. That's what people think. And by this logic, with this assumption, with this baseless, foolish assumption, they have gone out and labeled all kinds of criticism of the Islamic religion as racist, as bigoted, as hate speech, and whatever you want to call it. But we are people who have lived in this culture. We come from this culture, and while people here in the West, and I want to speak even broader, beyond the whole circle of the foolish progressives. So many people think that they need to embrace this foreign culture that comes into your countries. You need to embrace them. You need to embrace their religion. You need to understand them. You need to be tolerant of them. You need to protect them of all kinds of criticism because they might be in some ways culturally inferior. Let's say that culturally different, culturally not in alignment with your values. They might be different, but you just have to tolerate them. You just have to be okay with them. You can't just criticize them. They will change, and their ideology will change. But that's not the issue. The issue is not how they are different. The issue is not that their culture is different. The issue is not that they are underdeveloped, that they come from a different culture. The issue is the religion that those people believe in, because that religion teaches them that this is the absolute only truth, that other religious groups, no matter what religious group you're talking about, especially Christians and Jews, other religious groups are enemies of Islam. Those groups, Christians and Jews, want to undermine and attack Islam. They want to trick Muslims. They want to turn Muslims into non-Muslims. They want to plot against Islam. They are enemies of Allah, and so on. Let's not even come to atheists. I mean, so many atheists stand up for Muslims, for the rights of. I think they stand up for the rights of Muslims and want to protect Islam, but atheists would be the first to be gone from the picture if Islam became a majority. I don't know what these idiots are thinking, and I don't know. I come from this culture. I just want to say I come from that culture, and I want to go back into that position again as part of that specific group. And I just want to tell you, tell all of you Western people, stop being fools. Don't be fools. Don't try to protect me and my kind from criticism. Don't try to protect these people from criticism. Don't try to treat them like babies, like little unintelligent babies. People come with bad ideas. You don't have to put them into categories of different culture, foreigners that need to be protected. You don't have to put them into categories. They are people just like you and me. And those people sadly come with a religion, with an ideology that those people were indoctrinated with, that those people grew up with, that those people took in mosques and in institutions and in schools. And that ideology is cancerous. It is horrible. You wouldn't have the same empathy, you wouldn't have the same tolerance toward Nazis, as you hate them so much, just because those Nazis have a different skin color. You wouldn't be tolerant of that at all. If they are Nazis, then they are Nazis. And if they hold on to a very cancerous, a very dangerous ideology, then people need to tell them that ideology is wrong, and that ideology needs to be criticized. And Muslims are in the same situation. Just because they are minorities doesn't mean the ideology that they carry, that they believe in, should be free from criticism. It should be criticized, because you want those people to become better people as well, just like you want your own people to become better people. So stop being fools.
Yeah, for real. Stay away from Islam and stop being fools.
Stay away from Islam. That should be my next line. Stop being fools.
Here's another one for you. David has a favorite Quran verse. How about the Apostate Prophet? If you haven't seen this, guys, then I made a video a few years ago called my favorite Quran verse, and I think it was Surah 33, verse 53 of the Quran, and you can see why that is if you watch the video. But pretty decent video where I explain why that's my favorite Quran verse. But AP, do you have a favorite verse of the Quran?
I think I have several. I have a problem with keeping favorite lists. I'm not that kind of a person. Probably comes from lifelong ADHD. But I would say one of my favorite verses is definitely 9:29. Combined with 9:30, it sounds quite sweet. And you can elaborate on what that verse is if you want to. And I think one of my favorites, another one is 1883. 83, right? 86, 83.
On the sun setting?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1886.
Yeah. 1886 and 9:29 are very nice verses that I like very much. Does anyone want to hear what 9:29 sounds like?
Sounds awesome.
Yeah. Fight those who do not believe in Allah or in the last day, and who do not consider unlawful what Allah and His Messenger have made unlawful, and who do not adopt the religion or truth from those who were given the scripture, meaning Christians and Jews. Fight them until they give the jizya, protection money, willingly, while they are humbled. This is a very sweet Quran verse of the religion of peace, and I think it's just one thing that I remember immediately when I think of the Quran. Yeah,
I brought that up with a Muslim, and this was a radio debate, and I brought that verse up, and he said, "Well, notice it doesn't say kill him. It says fight him until they pay you."
Yeah,
another example of Islam's mercy, right?
Yeah, Allah said fight them, but He didn't say kill them. That's why Allah is merciful.
Yeah.
Well, you got people saying that Allah is actually. There was a TV show where Islamic preachers said that Quran verse 34 in chapter 4, the wife beating verse, that verse showed Allah's mercy, because Allah only advises people to hit their wives only on the third occasion. Yeah. When she shows arrogance repeatedly on a third occasion, and because Allah only advises you to hit them and then to forgive them if they correct themselves again, that's a sign of Allah's mercy. He doesn't want you to beat her blue and black. He just wants you to hit her on the third occasion, because Allah is merciful. Alhamdulillah.
And then we read the hadith about women being beaten until their skin turned green. and
Yeah.
snaps us back to reality like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's a related question. What is the one verse? What is the one verse, if you had to memorize just one, that destroys Islam's truth? That destroys Islam as truth. So we could both. I don't know if there's any one particular verse I would go to. I could give a couple, depending on which direction you'd like to go. So one thing, if you're a Christian, I would go with something like Surah 5, verse 47, which commands Christians to judge by the gospel, by the light of what Allah has revealed in the gospel. And say, what sense does that make if the gospel has been corrupted? Because keep in mind, this isn't saying that this was during the time of Jesus that this was told to them. This was during the time of Muhammad that it was told that Christians should judge by the gospel. And so if Christians are supposed to judge by the gospel, notice this is after all the different times that Muslims want to say the Bible's been corrupted. So after you say that the Apostle Paul corrupted Christianity and the Council of Nicaea corrupted Christianity and all these things, you're talking about the 7th century. Christians are told to judge by the gospel. But notice, if we judge by the gospel, the Injil, we have to conclude that Islam is false, right? Yeah. So if I take the gospel up, which from the 2nd century onward, the word gospel, it had one of two meanings. It was either the message that was preached, right, the good news, the spoken revelation. But if you're talking about a book, the gospel referred to the fourfold gospel. They treated the fourfold gospel when they're talking about a book. The fourfold gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, treated as a unit. So that's what the gospel was if you're talking about a text. If Muslims say it's referring to some other text, by all means, show me what text the Quran is telling us to judge by, right? So as far as how Christians would have used it, the term gospel refers to the fourfold gospel. If we judge by that book, well, that book affirms that Jesus is Lord, that he died on the cross for sins, and that he rose from the dead. Islam, the Quran, denies all three of those, and therefore we'd have to judge that Islam is false, right? So do you guys get it? If we judge by the gospel, we have to judge that Islam is false. If we don't judge, if we refuse to judge by the gospel, then we're rejecting the Quran, right? So either way, we have to reject the Quran. So there are verses like that. 543 is another one, but that's geared towards the Torah and Jews. But you have Surah 18, verse 27, which says no one can corrupt Allah's words. So you can use any of these to show that the Torah and the gospel are still reliable scripture according to the Quran. But if the Torah and the gospel are reliable scripture according to the Quran, and the Quran contradicts the Torah and the gospel, then the Quran is just self-destructed. One other along those lines is Surah 10, verse 94. That's where Muhammad himself was told that if he's having doubts about his religion, notice Muhammad's having doubts. Allah notices Muhammad having doubts about his religion. Keep in mind, Muhammad's first impression of his revelations was that they were demonic, right? He became suicidal and tried to hurl himself off a cliff, right?
Off a cliff.
Yeah, so Muhammad had doubts about his revelations at certain points. But Allah's advice, hey, if you are in doubt, Surah 1094, if you are in doubt as to what we have revealed to you, ask those who read the book before you. So Christians and Jews in the Quran are called the people of the book. So Allah's advice to Muhammad, if you want to know if I'm giving you the truth here, ask the people of the book. Go to them to confirm your revelations. Well, guess what? If you go to the people of the book, Muhammad's a false prophet. His revelations don't line up with ours. So notice what you have there. Why that would be a very good verse to reveal, to memorize. Allah reveals in that verse, one, that Muhammad's having doubts. Why is Muhammad having doubts here? But two, he can only confirm his scriptures by going to our scriptures, which means that only makes sense if we still have the inspired, preserved, authoritative scriptures. So notice, Muslims want to portray it as their revelations are standing in judgment over ours. And if our revelations don't line up with theirs, then so much for ours. Ours are garbage. If you read the Quran, it's the precise opposite, right? Our scriptures stand in judgment over the Quran. And the only way Muhammad can confirm the authority of the Quran is to make sure it lines up with ours. Well, it doesn't. So guess what? It's just self-destructive. The only scriptures that could confirm his scriptures actually say that he's a false prophet. And so any of those would work for something like those purposes. But what would you say, AP?
I made a huge list recently. I've been working on that forever. I made a huge list of Quran verses that all would prove the Quran wrong, that would destroy Islam. But since I have been working on On the scientific mistakes in the Quran recently for quite a long time. I don't know. I would definitely bring up one of those, especially one that just requires Muslims in all embarrassment to just go out and defend and explain what that Quran verse actually means, and then end up saying nothing about it because there's just no sense in it. Like Quran chapter 67 verse 5, in which I want to read from the best translation here, because I think this Quran verse is fantastic. Just give me 1 second. Oh yeah. And we have certainly beautified the nearest heaven with stars, and have made them what is thrown at the devils, and have prepared for them the punishment of the blaze. So what the Quran is telling us here is that Allah indeed created stars in the sky, in the heaven, the nearest heaven. There are 7 heavens, and in the nearest heaven, just right here next to us, there are these tiny objects called stars. They are not at all just big, giant balls like our sun. Mm-hmm. They're just tiny little stars, tiny little stones that just have light, and they burn. And some of them are thrown by angels at evil devils. Those stars. And so when you look up to the sky and you see what we nowadays call the shooting star, you see this light move in the sky, then you should know that one angel has just stoned a devil with a star in the sky. That's what the Quran is telling you here. Mm-hmm. And in reality,
why are you laughing at that? That's the wisdom of Allah, man. You laugh just because you should be laughing at every scientist in the world who has it wrong.
It is ridiculous. What can you say about that? And the thing is, it even describes. If you look at the background of this Quran verse, if you look into the Hadith, you see that Muhammad was describing shooting stars in this Quran verse as well. And shooting stars, we call them shooting stars, but they're not shootings. They're not stars. That's what people thought it was. People thought those things were stars, but they are not stars. They're
rocks. They're rocks that hit. They're big rocks that hit the atmosphere. Yeah.
When they enter the atmosphere, they start lighting up, and that's why they appear like stars that quickly move to us, and then they get destroyed, or they survive and land on the earth somewhere, and they just look like stars to primitive people.
And then if they land, sometimes they get worshipped.
Yeah. Like at the Kaaba, like at the corner of the Kaaba, you have this black stone that they believe fell from heaven, and it was white when it fell down, but then it turned black with the sin of humans. And it's very obvious when you look at it that it's most likely a meteorite. But yeah, Allah sends us stones from heaven. So who are we to judge? Who are you to judge, David?
All right, here's another good one here. Shay says, AP, when we see Muslim women out and about, is there anything we can say or do to motivate them to question Islam?
Many things. It depends on what woman it is. But if it's a woman who has a conversation with you, who is ready to talk to you, then it's probably a woman that you could easily approach with, not directly by mentioning the Quran and directly by mentioning a Quran verse and what she thinks about it, but by having a little bit of strategy and finding out what she thinks about the emancipation of women, about the rights of women, and how women are treated very well, and how domestic violence and how hitting women is quite a bad thing, and that she probably agrees with that. And then you can maybe read Quran chapter 4 verse 34 to her, in which it clearly instructs the man, because he is superior, to beat his wife if she is disobedient, and ask her what she thinks about that. And maybe don't insist too much, don't bother her too much about it, but just leave her alone with that thought, and let her answer her own questions that she has in her mind after you remind her of how her Islamic religion puts her into a very, very awful position compared to modern rights and standards that we have.
That's my suggestion. And God, as was pointed out, if we're talking to a Muslim who's challenging us and criticizing our views and trying to establish Islam and so on, we have a certain level of aggression. But if you're talking to a Muslim woman on a bus, you don't want to be guns blasting, and you can get the same information that we would get across to a Muslim on our channel. In a less confrontational way. So, and what's cool is you can bring up even the most sensitive topics, but you can do it in a friendly fashion. So one of the things that really does seem to bother Muslim women is the issue of paradise, right? That according to you have to put some Quran verses and some Hadith passages. Maybe I should make a tract on this. You have to put together some Quran verses and some Hadith passages, but basically, in paradise, Muslim women, the Muslim man, he gets all his wives from this earth. He also gets the wives of the Jews and Christians, and he gets his horis, his specially designed sex slaves. So it's good to just lay all that out.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, and say, hey, and notice here's how. So if we're doing this, we would be putting this forward and saying, that's what your God, look at this. That's what your prophet said, right? We'd be blasting away. But if you're a woman, a Muslim woman, if you're talking to a Muslim woman and you're a woman and you bring up some of these passages and you say, hey, I'm just wondering how you feel about that. Right? How do you feel about what Muhammad is saying, that you'll be sharing your husband with all of these other women for all eternity? How do you feel about that? And I would just let her talk. And I wouldn't criticize or jump on her for anything. But any of those passages, the passages that AP brought up, any of those passages you can bring up like that, and just let her think, right? Just let her start thinking about those. Yeah. It's especially helpful if it's someone you'll see again, like a coworker or someone at your school or something like that. If it's just a one-time situation, then do the best you can. Yeah.
I think it's always nice to drop a seed of doubt in a person, especially if you're going to see that person again, and to do it very calmly and nicely, and just confront them with something, and just let them think about it instead of bugging them further about it and trying to get it out of them, trying to convert them or change them as soon as possible. Just give them that and leave them alone with that and see where it goes, and some nice things could happen.
Yeah, and guys, just so everyone remember, my general advice, whether you're talking to a man or a woman, if you're talking to Muslim men or Muslim women, it's going to depend on the situation. If you're responding to someone who's coming at you, then I'm all for responding aggressively, especially if that person is someone who only respects an aggressive approach. If you're talking to someone that you're trying to have an ongoing conversation with and so on, I just recommend questions at the beginning. So I would generally... Again, especially if you're going to be seeing this person over and over again. First conversation, I would just ask questions. It's very easy to start a conversation with a Muslim because many Muslims, if they take their religion at all seriously, they believe that you are on the wrong path. And so if they take it seriously, they would love to invite you to Islam. Two, they believe that you've been misled. You've been misled by the media, and that you have all kinds of false views about Islam, and so they would love to correct you. And so if you just open the door for them and say, hey, I've heard some things about Islam. I've saw terrorist attacks on the news and so on. I'm just wondering, what do you believe? Most Muslims who take their religion at all seriously are dreaming of you asking a question like that. So don't think you're offending them by asking them something like that. They would love to start answering your questions. And then so once they start answering your questions, then you can expand a little bit. Say, what do you believe about the Quran? What do you believe about Muhammad? What do you believe about Allah? What do you believe about Jesus? What do you believe about the Bible? What do you believe about any of these things, right? And get some positions from them. And then after you've done that for a while, I would transition to some why questions, right? So instead of just what do you believe, start transitioning to why do you believe that? Why do you believe that about Muhammad? Why do you believe that about the Quran? Why do you believe that? And then you start finding out their reasons. And then once you've got some of their reasons down, and this is why I tell people, don't think that you need to go out and master Islam and read all the sources before you get into a conversation with a Muslim. You can study you can start wherever you're at. And if you're in this situation, you say, okay, you've come to understand what the Muslim believes, and then you've asked them question about why you believe this, why you believe that, why you believe this about Jesus, then at some point, whatever reasons that person has given, you can say, hey, thank you for sharing your reasons that you believe this. Would you mind if I went and looked some of this up, if I did a little studying on what you just said about the Quran? And could we get together next week and discuss some of these issues that you've brought up? And if that person says yes, and again, that person generally will be ecstatic. Wow, here's a Christian who's asking me questions about my religion and wants to discuss them again. That is amazing. Awesome, right? Then whatever reasons that person has given you, and notice you just pick 2 or 3. Now you don't have to study all of Islam. You just have to study those 2 or 3 topics, right? And then you go to Answering Islam or go to our videos or something like that. Look up that issue, familiarize yourself with what the Quran, the Hadith, or whatever say about those issues. Then you go back to the person and say, hey, I've done a little research and here are my thoughts. And 99 times out of 100, that person is going to get new information that person didn't ever hear in the mosque before. And so, and notice during that time, a friendship will has a good chance of developing, and you can take it from there.
Very nice.
All right, my voice is about shot, so we should be wrapping it up here in the next few minutes. We'll finally be able to finish within the hour and a half that we normally allow for ourselves.
Don't forget to drive a truck into the like button, everyone. Drive a peaceful truck into the like button.
Got to do wage vehicular jihad against the like button.
Yeah. All right.
Any last minute comments you want to address before we close out here?
Oh, are we done? I don't know. I think we talked about quite a lot of things. I don't know. There have been some comments where I thought we could answer that, but I guess we're over it. Okay. Well, no. Everyone stay awesome. Listen to David Wood. He knows what he's saying. And listen to me. I know what I'm saying too. I don't know what to say.
All right, and we should try and get back to having weekly live streams where we sort of go through the week's news, maybe discuss any recent attacks and so on, and try to
that would be nice.
Yep. So we should try to do that. And again, everyone, supposedly I should be back. Hope my voice holds up, but should be back tomorrow night, 8:00 p.m. with Armin Navabi, an ex-Muslim, and I'll be interviewing him on why he left Islam. And shortly after that, I'll be on Armin's channel, that's Atheist Republic, and we'll be having a discussion about Islam, atheism, and Christianity. So that should be fun.
That should be interesting.
Yep. All right. So, we're going to wrap it up now. And all right, talk to you all again tomorrow, and hopefully talk to AP again next week.
And stay away from Islam.
That's certainly something we can all agree on.